I've finally been able to convince the community to declare this week 60s Remembrance Week.
The final activity of the second day is for all of the participants to identify from the scenarios common themes, potential projects, and unresolved differences. The mixed groups generate lists which are gradually merged until all the themes have been consolidated. Once the lists are posted, the group is done for the day. The next morning, the whole group reviews the lists again. The facilitators ask people to confirm what they are agreeing upon.
Is this our common future?
Yes.
So that all of the action is in the direction of these values.
In a discussion that follows, each statement is examined.
Cooperative governments, plural.
And if their government was smaller and they're closer to their governance.
The recreation and the arts was really valuable to the community.
The mass transit, I don't disagree with, but we've certainly heard from a lot of people that light rail line that probably people were thinking of goes to everybody's backyard.
Any item that stirs up disagreement is reported as an unresolved difference, endorsed by some, but not all. The facilitators encourage a full exploration of what people are actually saying to each other.
We're about to step over the line from talk to action and to say, I personally want to take some responsibility to do something about some of this stuff. So we need to talk enough to say, am I ready to commit myself to some line of action here and see if I can find some allies.
I mean, if we just say ag preservation, I mean, that feels good, right? I mean, we want to live in a future where there's plenty of ag land and it's prosperous and it's producing a lot of food.
You know, the birds don't have anywhere in any sanctuaries and all the stuff, you know, because they're destroying wetlands and all. So it's not just agriculture. I think it has as much to do with land use.
There are a lot of you want to do things together on these other issues. We have not resolved this stickiest issue in a way that we can put into language that satisfies everybody.
In this group, the moment of truth comes after agreeing on almost all of the issues.
People have different ideas of what's acceptable as far as low-income housing.
Rich people aren't necessarily polluted by the presence of poor people in their neighborhood.
There's some very interesting things that have come up here about environmentalism being a middle-class white value that has basically reigned in this community for a long, long time.
You know, you're setting a tone which you think is the way things are, and I don't agree with what you just said.
Leave out the integration issue for now because that may not be something that everyone really does agree on.
I'm not willing to accept that the way it is. I mean, I understand the neighborhood barrier issue a lot.
We have to make some compromises on these other issues. We've got to create the space to build enough of the various kinds of houses that we've talked about.
The reality of the way this works, and I think we need to deal with some reality, is that if you try to put large projects in almost any neighborhood, and I don't care if there's already large projects there, those people don't want more large projects. It always has a neighborhood barrier issue.
Some people are saying those complaints. I face a whole group of different kind of people needing housing every day. Telling me where they live, look at them, how they live in garages.
We have too damn many people, and they have to live somewhere, you know. And there are people that have that are two people in a 50,000 square foot house, you know, with 30 acres around them, and then we have to worry about squeezing somebody up against each other.
You know, I'm willing to work for certain types of projects, not just any low-income housing project, because I'm not willing to do that. So that's why I kind of brought it up. And if it wants to stay the way it is, and I think there is some disagreement, that's fine with me. But
There's some people here who are concerned about meeting housing needs for low-income people. There are other people, or maybe some of the same, who are saying, but there's neighborhood issues, and those need to be balanced as well. We don't need to solve that. We just need to agree that those are two needs that need to be addressed through whatever this plan is.
I want to spend this little time we have, just visioning a future. And if I think about my future and where I live, I don't want to live somewhere where there isn't housing for all.
I think this is really good that we're trying to resolve this really difficult problem of our area.
We can keep talking that, or we can go into some action planning and find out what people want to start working on, including the housing issues.
As in most Future Search conferences, the participants acknowledge their differences and choose to work together on common ground. Sitting in stakeholder groups, they begin to develop action plans, formulating short-term as well as long-term goals. Finally, task forces are formed to accomplish specific goals. As these new groups begin their work, many plans are formulated that will be realized in the year ahead.
And we want to engage the conversation around a future search with respect to the issue of diversity.
And we were talking about doing an employment future search in Watsonville to take a look at the options.
Building community house in Santa Cruz on River Street, and Paul is hoping to get 10 churches involved there.
We have $10,000. Bill wants $10,000. We're working on a program under the grant program that this will help people who have very inadequate housing to move into better housing. Hopefully we'll meet.
Following the conference, the Community Foundation started a newsletter seeking to involve all county residents. People were invited to join existing task forces and to start new projects. Many of the creative ideas that took root in the Future Search have now become a reality. Having come together around housing, residents discovered that they could act together on a wide range of shared concerns. Tony Hill, Simba Kenyatta, Leola Lapides, and Bob Culbertson have developed diversity training for individuals and organizations. In March 1995, 2 weeks after flooding devastated the area, Bob Dwyer and Joe Fahey initiated a future search called Bridging the Past and Future Economies of the Pajaro Valley. A new citizens organization, the Pajaro Valley Corps, was created to employ displaced workers to clean up flood damage. Other task forces began work on job creation, business expansion, beautification of downtown Watsonville, and arts and literacy education. Jerry Hernandez formulated and initiated a project to make downtown Watsonville a regional Latino market, rebuilding a devastated and dying downtown area. Bob Culbertson initiated a program for greater diversity in the state park system through a scholarship program for the Junior Lifeguard and Ranger Explorers summer recreational programs. As for affordable housing in Santa Cruz County, Dan Krieg and Bill Watt initiated a $10,000 rental assistance fund for the local Families in Transition program. Steve Salomon and other Santa Cruz County citizens initiated a fundraising plan to increase the Farm Worker Housing Loan Fund from $250,000 to $350,000. And Bonnie Bell, Norman Schwartz, and Arnie Fishman began work on a $5.5 million, 36-unit, low-income housing project in Scotts Valley.
For me, did the Future Search work? No question about it. It provided, I think, a very living model of democracy